the CyberHub bunker and studio. You're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Hey, everyone. Good morning and happy Monday, March 14th, 2022. We've got a packed show. I hope everyone had a great weekend. Let's get right into today's show. First, you can catch all of the latest at cyberhubpodcast.com. All of our latest content, including breaking into cybersecurity, everything, cyberhubpodcast.com. Go and check it out. Today's show would not be possible without our friends over at KnowBe4, so you can go see more about them in the show notes. Check that out. We've got a really busy show today, including the new incident reporting law. Google explains the amount of Chrome ZeroDays that exist out there today, and then we'll be talking a lot about Russia. There's some stuff going on in the cyber battlefield that is impacting every single organization, getting us really ready for what I consider to be a very interesting time period for a lot of practitioners. So we'll get into all of that and more on today's show. But before we do that, it's Monday morning. I don't know how you function, but I cannot function without my double espresso. So here's to a coffee cup. Cheers, folks. All right, we'll get right into today's show. And with now companies critical to U.S. national interest will have to report that they've been hacked or that they've paid ransomware, according to a new rule imposed by Congress. The rules are part of a broader effort by the Biden administration and Congress to shore up the nation's cyber defenses after a series of high-profile digital espionage campaigns and disruptive ransomware attacks. The reporting will give the federal government much greater visibility into hacking efforts that target private companies, which have often skipped going to the FBI or other agencies for help. Senator Gary Peters, a Democrat from Michigan who leads the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee and wrote the legislation, said that it's clear we must take bold action to improve our online defenses. The reporting requirement legislation was approved by the House and the Senate on Thursday, is expected to be signed by President Joe Biden. Soon it would require an entity that's considered part of the nation's critical infrastructure, which includes the finance, transportation, and energy sectors, to report substantial cyber incidents. That's not defined, by the way, in the law. What is substantial? And you'll have 72 hours to report that, 3 days essentially, and then any ransomware payments made within 24 hours will also need to be reported. This is on the heels of the cyber warfare that's going on right now between the Ukraine and Russia and so much more. So something very interesting going on there. Google's attempting to explain the surge in Chrome zero-day exploitation. The number of Chrome vulnerabilities that's been exploited and malicious attacked has been increasing over the past years. Google believes several factors have contributed to this trend. There's been 14 zero-days in 2021, up from just 8 in 2020 and 2 in 2019. Chrome is targeted far more often than Firefox, Safari, and Internet Explorer, according to Project Zero over at Google. One reason for the increasing number of zero-day attacks targeting Chrome is related to transparency. Browser security teams and research groups are increasingly informing the public about the in-the-wild exploitation of vulnerabilities. Another reason for Chrome being increasingly targeted is related to the depreciation of Flash, as well as the web browser's popularity. Specifically, threat actors often exploited Adobe Flash vulnerabilities in web attacks before the software was killed off last year. And so Google is arguing that this is increasing the number of zero-days, although we have to, really look at Google overall as practitioners, because really you don't just look at one piece and you see the issues that we have with the Google Play Store and issues that we're having with Google Chrome and so forth. And so you wonder if just being a Google shop is going to do it anymore. The openness of Google is actually creating issues that are significant to a lot of organizations and a lot of practitioners. And so Google's going to have to re-examine some of this transparency, some of this openness to allow anyone access if they want to continue to be part of a larger enterprise solution. Russia. Let's get to Russia, which is now issuing its own TLS certificate. The country's citizens are being blocked from the internet. That started on Friday because foreign certificate authorities can't accept payments due to Ukraine-related sanctions, so it created its own CA. TLS, more commonly known as SSL or TLS. SSL is a cryptographic protocol that secures the internet by encrypting data sent between your browser and the websites you visit and the website servers. The certificates keep data transmissions private and prevent modification, loss, or theft as the Cert itself explains, one of the largest. According to a notice on Russia's public service portal, Kozlogy, as shown in a translated version in this article's featured art, the certificate will replace foreign security certificate if they expired or get yanked by foreign CAs. According to the portal, the service is available to all legal entities operating in Russia, with the certificate delivered to the site owners upon request within 5 working days. Russia has been trying to shore up its internet and shore up its internal dependencies rather than foreign. And we're going to see this as being a monumental shift in how nations view the globalization of the internet. Russia's just the very beginning, but if you don't think China and many others are watching this, you'd be very, very wrong. If you look at specific limited governments, they'll now try to do the same in order to not be relying on any Western organization for their internet, and as such, keep themselves kind of immune from U.S. sanctions. Russia's cyber restraint in the Ukraine is puzzling experts. The absence of any crippling Russian cyber attacks against the Ukraine is puzzling experts, as they warn that low-level assaults may be coming, including against the West in retaliation for sanctions, as more troops pour into Kiev and the Ukraine in what has been a much longer anticipated conflict for the Russians, who thought that they could have this thing wrapped up pretty quickly. Cyber attack hasn't been one of those. They haven't been shutting down power grids, cutting the water supply, or sabotaging customer communication networks, which is part of their capabilities. This most likely explains that Russia was hoping for a quick victory without needing to resort to sophisticated or hugely damaging cyber attack. I think the other one to look at here, by the way, folks, is that I don't think Russia wants to reveal its entire cybersecurity arsenal on the Ukraine. It's the one thing we're seeing a very weak, old equipment in the Russian military, which is supposed to be the second or third most powerful military in the world, one that we're supposed to take into consideration, but really we're just seeing an outdated, undertrained, underperforming, not motivated, bad equipment Russian military, and I think they're afraid of the cyber attacks that come along with that. If they show the cyber attacks, then that might be the only thing they have left, or maybe it's all just a fallacy. Who knows? And finally, hacktivism stokes pandemonium amid Russia's war in Ukraine. A lot of people have joined the ranks to protect the Ukraine, including the infamous group Anonymous, who said that they've been launching a bunch of DDoS attacks pummeled at Russia's .ru top-level domains. Some of these have spilled over into other parts and bits of a greater global infrastructure. The cyber war on Russia has essentially caused Russia to close its internet and reissue certificates and do so much more internally. Again, some of this hacktivism has spilled out, and we could see that impacting us significantly in the future. Folks, that's it for our show today. We'll be back with a lot more tomorrow. Until then, have a great rest of your day and stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.